up YouTube? DG Whips are back in with another video. Now today I'm going to be going over a few things I need to touch up and fix. I was making boost, which is good. However, I did have some issues. The turbo was smoking, so I'll definitely have an oil backing up. That is a very common issue with doing rear mount. You really have to get the oil lines and everything perfect, or it will do that. Because you don't traditionally gravity feed into the pan like most top mounts do, you do have to make sure you're getting pressure to that turbo and pressure back, and make sure you're getting all out of the turbo, otherwise it will back up. So I did have to do a few things, and I'm gonna go over that right now so you guys don't make the same mistake I did if you want to do a rear mount or just a mid mount or anything that's below the oil pan. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it here forever, but I did just want to move the oil pump as close to the turbo as I could. So right now I have the drain line and then like not even a foot of line going straight into the pump. So the pump is definitely gonna have direct like scavenging. I would ideally like it lower than the drain to make sure it can kind of gravity feed into the pump, because the pumps actually push better than they pull. But I think for now this would be okay, because I had it way over there and it wasn't scavenging like anything, so don't do that. You can see I have the oil feed right there. That is a 4AN line. You do want to prevent oil from like just draining into the turbo while you're sitting, to have this line come down and then come up. That way the oil will just drain back down instead of drain back into the turbo. And you don't want that to happen. So you can see a lot of oil was collecting in the vacuum lines because of how I had it set up. When I get in a boost, it was just too much pressure. Which, speaking of pressure, let me go over another thing I did wrong. So I did not vent the crankcase, which you should do if you're going boost, because you're going to be building up a lot more pressure on your valve covers and everything. So I have this plugged off here to the intake, and then I have just a filter coming out of the catch can. So this PCB is venting to atmosphere. So this valve cover is now vented to atmosphere, and I don't have a filter yet for this side, so I'm just going to run it open. But this is coming from the back of the valve cover that would normally go to the intake, and then to the intake I have it plugged off, so that way we won't have a vacuum leak. But this is going to atmosphere now, so now our valve covers are vented to atmosphere, and that's going to pretty much relieve any built up pressure in the engine and the oil lines. Because what happens is, if too much crankcase pressure builds up, it will back the oil lines up, and you will have problems with oil backing up into the turbo as well. So I did a few things wrong, but I just tightened a few things up. What I did was, I was dumb. This is dumb. Most people don't know not to do this, but I had the drain going back into the oil filter. That's dumb, because the oil filter gives a lot of pressure back. So I do have a check valve. However, what it was probably doing was, when I was hitting like high revs, it was sending too much pressure back through the oil cooler and closing that valve, and that probably was backing it up as well. So we definitely had some big issues. So what I did was, what I plan on doing and what I should have done, but I was lazy, and so you don't be lazy, is you run your drain back into the oil pan itself. So fortunately the spacer had a fitting, and then I just tapped in, and then I need a 3/8 NPT to 10AN adapter, and then I just ran the oil cooler straight there. My drain does go to the oil cooler, so that way it can cool the really hot oil that was just in the turbo. So I basically redid the whole oil system and vented the crankcase pressure. So I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the coolant out right now off camera, because I actually drained all my coolant out, and I'm running distilled water with the water wetter right now. It is summer, so it gets very, very hot, and you gotta really be good at temperature control. So distilled water and water wetter, that way we can just have really good temperature control. I do want to upgrade the radiator at some point so this car can be track ready, but then I also need a transmission cooler as well. Just gotta make sure everything stays cool. You don't want things to get too hot. That will destroy like everything. So I also had a big oil leak on my gauge pod. So I have a mechanical oil pressure gauge, and for some reason it was just like not like sealing, and it was leaking into the cabin, which was just very awful. I put some thread locker on, I redid the line and everything, so that should be good now. Also, the reason why you couldn't see the boost gauge very well was because I didn't wire in the yellow wire. I didn't realize you had to do that. I thought it was optional, but like you do have to if you want to actually see your half your gauge. So I made sure to do that. So all my gauges should be looking good right now and beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the coolants, and then we're gonna test drive it and see if we still have smoking issues. Now there is a lot in the exhaust and everything, so it will probably have to burn off a little bit, but let's just see if it smokes really bad. Okay, so I skipped past the whole debacle because I had a massive oil leak burst as I was like filming the video yesterday, and it was coming from like where my crank seal was. I don't know why that just decided to leak like horribly. It was leaking like it was basically pouring. I don't know how that happens. But right now I don't have a drip of oil, which is good. And right now I just ran the car, or I had it on and I was revving it for like 20 minutes as I was bleeding the cooling system. Not a drop of oil anywhere, not even out of the exhaust down there, which I thought there was gonna be some residual still drip out, but it hasn't even been dripping, so that's good. I'm gonna put this car down and get on the road and then see if our turbo is gonna keep smoking. And if it doesn't, that means we fixed our issue. I did basically redo the whole oil system, so I hope so. But I'm really glad that this car is not leaking anymore. Fixed the crank seal. That was real easy actually. Just took the crank off, took the belts off, popped the old two out, put the new one in. It was really easy, didn't need instructions or anything, just did it. I got the new oil pan. My old oil pan was bent, and I'm looking at it now, and yeah, it was bent like pretty bad. No wonder it was leaking. I don't actually have gasket maker at all right now. I just have two Felpro gaskets on the spacer, one up top, one on bottom, and that seems to be holding up great. And it was holding up to like 60 oil pressure, so that's holding up good. So nothing left to do now but to drop the car down and then get it on the road and see if everything goes well. And if this goes good, then we can just do our fuel system and we'll be basically tune ready. So I'm really excited for that. Okay, so I'm pretty much ready to test drive. Okay, let's not have the heat on, LOL. I don't want to have the AC on yet though either, because race car. My AC works perfectly fine though. I'm gonna see if I can reset the check engine light if it comes back, because I think I know why it was coming on. I actually had one of the terminals on the battery loose. Everything seems good so far. Oil pressure good, airflow ratio good. I do need to get gas. I did put that resonator on. I did want to just smooth out the tone a little bit. I do have like a dump pipe with a V-band on that I can just slap on if I want to change the tone and make it louder and raw. Let's go. Oh, it pulls, bro. That blow-off valve is crazy. I'm not seeing any smoke. I do hear some rattling. I think I need to tighten up one of the pipes. I'm not seeing any smoke at all. I think we fixed our problem. Oh man, I should be chilling out, but that is just too much fun. Like, the car's taking it good too. Yeah, guys, well, it's gonna be hard to find. Zero smoke coming out of the back. Any smoke, any oil burning smell I'm smelling is probably just residual, because it was pretty bad. So oh, that is amazing. All right, let's take it back home and make sure everything's good, nothing's leaking. Okay, so I pull the car back into the garage. I want to make sure everything was good, and then I see it is leaking yet again. You can imagine how excited I was to see that. But so what it has to be, because it's literally coming from under the crank pulley, and I replaced the crankshaft seal. It didn't seem terrible, but I didn't know if the pressure just like blew it, or I don't know. Replaced that because it was cheap and easy. It seemed fine, and then I guess it wasn't fine. It turns out it's actually my upper oil pan, the timing cover gasket, or seal, whatever. It's like this little like U-shaped seal that I replaced before because I've taken my timing cover off twice. So I guess the last time I did it, it just like didn't seal right or whatever, for whatever reason. That does mean I have to take the whole timing cover off, unless I take the whole lower oil pan off, which is actually easier to take the timing cover off. So that kind of sucks. I can take that timing cover off in I think like 3 or 4 hours now because I've done it a few times, but it's just not fun. I have to take all the accessories off, take the crank back off, take the fan off, which means I have to take the upper radiator hose, drain the coolant, oh my god. But as you can see, the car's making boost fine. It's making boost great, so I guess I don't think I have any boost leaks or anything like that. It's spooling up nicely and it just sounds amazing. Like, I wanted to keep driving it, but I want to make sure everything is good. I don't want to blow it up because I'm not paying attention and I'm just trying to have fun. But yeah, right now I have the bumper back on. I don't know if you guys saw it was like off. This is how it's looking. I know the lighting isn't the best, but the oil pump is right there and I don't like how it looks. It's just like out in the open and that's not something you want to like flex, I guess. I mean, it's not like terrible, but it's loud and you can see the wires coming from the back. So I'm definitely gonna relocate that at some point. So I am gonna have to redo the line though, unfortunately. But we're not smoking or leaking out of the exhaust, so we fixed that issue, which was a major issue. So I'm happy about that. If I honestly just wanted to top off a quart of oil every like day, then like I could, but I don't want to do that. That's just not the way to roll. I want this to be 100%. I don't want to go on the dyno and this is like ratchet and leaking everywhere. So I'm not going to do that today. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I don't want to take the timing cover off. Like, it couldn't have been anything else. So yeah, that does suck, but it is what it is, I guess. She do be looking pretty clean though, I'm not gonna lie. So once we fix that oil leak and we do our fuel system, and we need to do our one-step coder spark plugs as well, which I still need to get. We are ready to go on the dyno, which I'm so excited. I don't want to try to schedule my date yet until I know when this is going to be done. I only have 2 days off and I work like 50-something hours a week, so my time to work on it is very limited at this moment in time, especially because I'm trying to move out and I'm actually hopefully doing that soon, thankfully. But I obviously need lots of money and income to keep doing this and also like support myself fully. So by the way, if you're liking the content, you're liking the build, please subscribe and like the video. Maybe even comment down below what you think about it. It really helps me out, but only if you actually like it. If you don't like it, then don't watch it. But other than that, thank you guys again so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.